Greetings once again, heroes. Welcome back to another session of Mythia, Session 6. We really hope you're enjoying it, and if you are, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell icon to be notified for any further videos. Now, let's get started with another Mythia. You are both talking about Isaac's dream.
Yes, whilst playing chess. By the way, roll a net check, so let's see how we're doing against each other.
Okay. 14.
15.
Okay.
It is a very close game.
Okay. She looks at you and says, I might know what you mean by this firstborn, but I think there's more to this dream than you're telling me. Context does help a great deal.
I guess if I'm going to get an answer, I should give you what you need. I've been hearing these voices in my head ever since receiving my gift. They also mention a puppet master. I think it's quite obvious who that is.
Roland?
Haha, very funny. I say as I move another piece. I hear them mentioning that the puppet master and the firstborn are traveling together, and that's too dangerous. The rest is babble. I can't make heads or tails of it.
And the voices? Themselves?
What of them?
Do they have any significant meaning?
He's going to lie again and say that he doesn't know.
Roll deception. Oh, Jesus.
What did you roll?
24?
I rolled a 22!
Just not good enough.
Okay. He confidently makes a move on the chessboard that he thinks is really good, but you see like a horrible flaw in it.
Check.
No, I don't know anything about these voices.
Oh.
I already have them.
She gives you an obviously disappointed look. Like, she totally saw through you, and now she's...
Here I thought I could deceive a godmother. In hindsight, that was quite stupid.
She quietly waits for you to continue, if you will.
Surely you know of a race, an ancient one, that built great constructs. I do not know what they are called.
She nods. I do.
But I think it is them speaking into my head.
Do I need to roll an insight check versus you?
No, he's telling you the truth.
Okay, just checking.
I trust you'll keep this to yourself.
Of course. It's referring to me.
That was my second guess.
Well, what was your first?
Might be a hero.
She smiles. I mean, I suppose it could, but I believe it is referring to myself.
I see. Well, does this added context give you any more insight into what this might mean?
Did you say the river number?
I haven't mentioned it.
Okay.
But now that you've pried his brain open, he would tell you.
Okay. Does that reference anything for me?
No.
River 512?
They seem to have arbitrary labels and numbers for almost everything.
I don't know.
I can't make sense of them either.
I'd never heard of the ancient ones interacting. They're dead. They're gone.
You would think so.
As far as I know. Well, she pauses and she goes, well, at least around here they are. I don't know why they would be saying this to you. Have they said anything else pertinent in the past?
They've been part of my dreams for quite a while now, but...
By gift you're speaking of, she glances down at your chest.
Yes, he says, and he kind of like tucks his cloak over it a little bit more to conceal it. I'd imagine it's because of this.
It's their technology?
I would suspect as much.
I see. Where did you... If you don't mind my asking. If it's prying too much, I won't. But do you know where, location-wise, it was... Where you acquired it?
Deep underground?
They usually
in the
are.
region of... I don't know what part of the map that base was at.
It was near the Dragon Nails.
I will tell you that.
Does that ring any bells for me?
No.
To my knowledge, at the beginning of time, when the myths first rolled in, all of the ancient parts were tossed into the ocean, far, far to the north. There are a few that the dragons missed. I know that for certain, but they're few, far between, and extremely rare.
I see. Well, that is very interesting.
Did you see more than just that bit?
Surely you've heard tales of what happened at Selenox. It
I
was
assume-
Selenox, right?
Is this a known thing? Especially considering my past.
You know that it was said there was a great metal giant that was seen outside of Selenox. Rumored that there was something to do with the son of House Crow.
I see. So the rumors are true.
If not for that, Khalid would have...
Her eyes widen huge. You got it to work? She looks a little horrified, by the way. Like this isn't like something that she's impressed by. She's horrified by it.
Only after having this thing shoved in my chest.
What happened to it afterwards?
They spoke to me some more and it fell apart.
And the pieces?
Turned to dust.
She looks vaguely relieved. I suppose that is a blessing. Lights preserve us if it still was about.
As far as I know, it was the last of its kind and now it's gone. I doubt we'll ever find one again.
She just nods. I don't know why they would refer to yourself and myself. I don't know why we particularly would make a dangerous pairing.
Perhaps
Although-
it's because we're so good at chess, he says, and you'll move another piece.
I wouldn't say that, my dear. Check in, mate.
I don't think I've won a single game since boarding this boat. You know that? And you'll tap the pieces and they'll kind of like angrily waddle their way off the board.
Euphemia. From high up, with your turn at the wheel, it is a boring process once you pass the city, the village of High Wheat. You pull out, as you do often, a compass. When you look down at it, it slowly moves, dotting, and then head back south, dotting, and then head back. Same 2 points, over and over again. One is where it always points, and the other, you know exactly where it's pointing. Yeah, well.
She shuts it with a quick snap.
The town of Pitch is next. Where they make pitch. Yes. Then the terribly named Last Straw, which is 4th of 7. Finally, Consberry and Jacobsburg has the highest population of half-elves of most villages in Mythia. As you all stop off for a short stint, you stretch your legs, and does anybody pick up the souvenir? Greetings once again, noble heroes. I wanted to take a break from your regularly scheduled program in order to tell you a little bit about the upcoming portion of the video. Unfortunately, when I was in editing, we lost some of the footage from camera angle 3, about an hour and 45 minutes worth of Tyler and Julian. We still have their audio, and we decided together as a group that we weren't going to go back and play that portion. We wanted to be really genuine for you guys. We don't want to go back and re-script lines and do stuff that we already done. So we decided to go ahead and continue onwards. We still hope that you enjoy it very much, and we'll get to it. So you guys are still in Jacobsburg, getting ready to leave and head towards the turn in the river at Alirna. And so, Roland, you're in the town. Are you doing anything in particular?
Roland usually just kind of like makes the rounds, is seen, makes people feel safe.
Okay, give me a charisma check with advantage, please. You are in the territory of Giran, so.
Oh damn!
Oh,
so,
it's
it's really good.
What is that?
18, so plus
20. 20.
I'm blanking right now.
It's plus 2 your charisma.
Oh shit! That's just. Oh yeah, 20.
The
I was looking in like the skills area, and I forget that's like a bigger thing.
Thank God I'm the only one who does that.
How long have you been playing 5e?
I never get charisma checks. Also, I never try to lie. I never try to convince people of anything.
That's true.
I feel like you
really
do all
don't.
of the charisma checks for the gaming. It's always you with the charisma checks.
Because charisma checks are fun.
They're
does
your
them.
thing.
He does them.
Do you?
She's always trying to convince someone to do something.
It's funny though. He'll have like a really good skill, but he'll roll like super badly when he needs to. Like
I feel your
like
pain.
the deception check versus June
Oh yeah.
very recently.
Multiple checks.
So
You do.
as you go around the town, you are surrounded by adoring villagers who see fit to cheer your name from afar as you walk down the street. People are coming out to offer you goods. One woman wants you to kiss her baby. Do you kiss a little human baby?
Yes.
All right. You kiss a little baby girl to the cheers of the surrounding peasantry. And there is an impromptu handshake from the mayor of the town as you arrive. You are asked why you are there.
He says he's on some official business.
And will you be staying?
We're just passing through.
Well, if you change your mind, the inn has a wonderful suite that we can set you up at. Any friends you might have as well, he says.
I'll let you know.
He says, oh, thank you, good boy. And what is Euphemia up to in the town as her and the crew get off to stretch their legs?
So she will probably grab Bali and go make preparations, get some additional liquor, any supplies they needed. Maybe stop at a local pub if they have time.
Okay. You stop at a pub called the Muddy Banks. And as you go inside, you find a delightfully cozy little liquor cabinet with a mostly human and halfling stock of ales and liquors. Bali warns the crew that they'll have duty fairly soon, so not to drink too heavily, and Johnny doesn't listen. June, what about you?
What is the primary sweet that this town is known for?
Giran in general is not known for sweets, but this particular town like gummies and rock candies.
Okay, I'm going shopping.
Okay. All right.
Gotta
So you
replenish.
find yourself in a candy shop called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. And what do you, how many of those rock candies and gummies do you purchase?
All of them? The whole store's worth?
I
She's gonna make somebody's day.
As you drop a
Or ruin it,
large
okay.
sack of money for an even larger sack of candies, the candy shop owner, a very old human woman with white hair, is going to blink twice in her Coke bottle glasses and stare at the bag. And then she says, "Oh dear, this is the largest purchase anyone has ever made." A tear falls from her eye.
She just pats her hand.
"You and your family enjoy the candies, dear," she says as she hands you the bag.
I will, don't worry.
She doesn't quite catch it with her bad hearing, and her eyes glued to the bag as she struggles to lift it over towards the cabinet that she sticks her money in.
June taps the little brooch at her throat, and the little beetle box flies over, lands, and enlarges, and she just starts sticking the bags in.
All right. As the woman turns around, "A bug!" she says as she goes to grab a broom.
It's like the size of a dog, a very large dog.
Correct.
Okay, just checking.
She goes to grab a big broom.
She goes, "It's okay, it's just my box."
She's going to stop
She not notice that it's like
mid-broom attack.
open and has like things are disappearing into it.
This woman needs glasses that are an inch thick, okay?
Clearly she has glasses and a hearing aid. But
All right, well, magical hearing aids don't exist, so...
or do they?
But they should.
All right, so as she is wary, but you escape with your goods. And Isaac, what are you and Prongor about?
So I think after arriving out of habit, he would pull out the sin stone and just check it. See if it's showing anything.
You find that this town, except for in the graveyard, lacks corpses or undead.
Okay.
The sin stone, as you pull it out, a eye-like object, a amulet upon your neck, carefully concealed beneath the robes. And as the power of the stone reveals corpses and undead within a large vicinity, it finds just mundane, normal.
He breathes a deep sigh of relief and kind of tucks it away again. And I think him and Prongor would spend the day looking for any tools or supplies he thinks they need, but they didn't bring with them.
Prongor will turn to you as you walk. "Master, I think that we have successfully created a grand ruse on the ship," he says, once you're out of earshot of the other crew and the clusters.
What ruse may that be?
We have convinced them that I am a moron.
I see.
They don't even think I can count, he says. They even saw me when I first arrived. Tip to a driver, he says.
You think it was when you gave the tip or when you gave the dance for the godmother?
He says, "I think it was your clever line drop that I could not account that allowed me, using my masterful senses, to beguile them by miscounting."
I see.
Now they think that I am a fool. He says, "Sometimes my skills of deception are so great that I even convince you."
Well, do you think this will ever come into play while we're on this boat?
Well, surely the godmother is becoming lax, imagining that you, with your head turned, could not possibly watch her. But I will be watching her, master. I will find the deception.
I see where you're going with this.
He says,
Smart.
"That is because you are the man who taught me my capabilities of weaving immense plans."
Isaac's just kind of taken aback. It's been a while since he started Prongor speak like this. We've been fallen and downtrodden for so long. He's kind of reached, he's gotten back up to this peak as, my
main, first Sandman, I guess.
He goes, "Oh, pass the muffins." He lopes over and will pay a silver wage to gain a couple of muffins. He brings one back over towards you. "Do you like muffins, master?"
Isaac takes one, and he looks very, kind of frail and scary underneath his robes, and he's kind of just like examining the muffin. Does it look good?
Yeah.
Okay, he takes a bite.
All right, you take a bite of the muffin.
How's it taste?
It's not the best muffin you've ever had, but it's good.
Yes, I do.
He hands you a muffin.
I have to say I'm growing quite tired of all these salted meat and bread and all these other adventurers' rations we've had upon the boat. It's nice to have something a little bit more homemade once in a while.
And that pig swill brew they have.
Yes, pig swill indeed, I'm sure.
He nods and then walks ahead of you. You all find yourselves back on the boat after only a short few hours. Jania is holding her head as she goes to lift anchor. "I think I overdrunk," she says. "Damn right you did," Bali says as she gives her a swift but light kick in the butt. Kalibi's sudden warning rings out as the crew turns, only to see Shadow slowly plodding towards the deck.
She comforts Cleby.
Cleby is going to reach up towards you like a small child with his arms raised.
She'll pick him up.
As you hold him like maybe a slightly larger than a toddler-sized child.
A toddler-sized halfling child or human child?
A human child.
Okay.
He's, I'd say he's probably 2.5 feet tall.
How heavy?
9 pounds? Yeah, he's a big baby. Bring it on.
Yeah, right?
The rest of you return, and the ship gets underway. You hear from Dom that you still have a few days, probably 2, till you reach the turn at Alira, where you should be able to see the grand city of heaven, as it's called, off the river towards the west. And then after that, you will break into Ignis's arm, where you expect the cities to become larger and sparser. So, after the 2 days, with sort of minimal activity, I need to know how prepared are you all for danger at this point? Still being in the open lands with farms about you, small towns, nothing particularly dire looking. Like, are you wearing armor? Are you on alert? Is there a watch at night?
I think Euphemia would always set a watch, regardless. But otherwise, I don't think she's particularly primed for danger.
Unless it rains, Roland's still sleeping on the deck, and his armor would be like he would at several times a day lay it out to be easily put on.
What if the deck is just wet, but not raining, rained earlier in the day?
Well, he has his bag, so when pretty much at the start of every day, if he didn't sleep on the deck or he didn't sleep on the deck, he would neatly lay his bag out on that corner, his spot.
Yeah.
And each piece of his armor would be disassembled and ready to be put on, laid out, so that if he needed to, he could be armored in less than 2 minutes.
Even with a very fast capability to put on armor, it's still half of the fastest time is 5 minutes.
Well, he would have his legs.
Okay, so your legs would be on. All right. So
He would have his legs on.
I'll say that you with the speed of experience and knowledge.
He just doesn't hang out with his chest plate on.
You can do it 2 minutes with somebody helping you.
I nominate Jania.
I don't think that Roland would.
I don't need her touching
I'm pretty sure that he would object to that strenuously.
Whoops, I dropped the chest.
Oh, you lost your shirt in the meantime? Damn!
I wonder how it happened.
When you guys pass the 2-day marker, you are going to see off in the distance, with a little bit of mood-setting mist over the fields between the Giran River and the city of heaven, Olirna. With its grand spires, much different than Garen's squat houses. Olirna goes up, Garen goes out. Olirna is also not built on a rise, so a lot of flat land between you and there. And there is a significantly less impressive wall around Olirna. Just really a skeleton of a wall. But in the mists, it is quite the exotic and impressive sight for the crew and the questers. Clevey will give a long, slow whistle, not for the wind, but with an impressive mark. Dom will ask, anyone ever been?
Nobody answers, June will say. I have. It's a lovely place. Delicious food.
What'd you go for?
She kind of just smiles and she goes, well, some work, some pleasure. I have some friends who live there. She smiles.
Heard that answer plenty of times. Dom says as he steers the wheel back to the left.
She'll call, what kind of friends?
What do you mean?
We don't know. Are they nobles?
I think the nature of her answer can divulge what kind of friends.
She
Dom
smiles and
says.
goes, not all of them, no. I was actually learning to bake last time I was there. I'm not very good at it.
Oh. Hero looks suddenly so sad.
I prefer sweets over savories, and bread is really not my forte.
We'll get a long look at civilization, because we likely won't see it for a few days. Dom says, it's small trees, then big trees from here on out.
Glad we have you to guide us, Tom.
He says,
You're a good dog.
guiding down a single stream of river. I am quite the guide, he says sarcastically.
It will be your most difficult journey yet.
He says, just because of you all.
Would Roland been to Olirna before?
Yes, many times, in fact. You
I was going to say, it would just be passing through mostly, wouldn't it?
You've probably done a mission or two around Olirna, but very rarely in Olirna. Olirna's queen, one of its queens, is an extraordinarily strong ascended. Some would say as strong as Harper, Moven the Fire Queen. And if there is danger in the city, it usually is incinerated fairly quickly.
Would Euphemia have been there yet? Or would they have not visited yet?
Olirna is a major route from the Isle of Bone to the Southern Sea by river. So it's very likely that you have been to Olirna many times. But probably not to the high and noble halls of sages and...
Learned folk.
Yes. As you all pass Olirna, it is but a day before you begin seeing the signs of Ignis's arm, a forest named after a dragon who is long dead. And then, as the short trees become tall trees, you have been sailing perhaps for about 3 hours through thick forest. You see only through the canopy directly above you, where there is a split between the trees on this side of the river and the trees on this side of the river. You can't quite reach across. But you hear a slow approaching noise of great water coming your way. How many of you have seen the chronic lock? Dom yells.
You mean besides us, right? She calls.
Thought you said you hadn't been to the center of the continent.
The chronic what?
Chronic lock.
Chronic lock.
Go ahead and give me a history check. DC 14.
No, I did not do it.
You haven't really studied the lands of elves very much.
Pray tell, what may that be? Something interesting, I hope.
Something interesting, Dom confirms. Bali is going to go about her business with a little more pep than usual. You think she's excited. Dom has been talking to her about the center of the continent. She has been doing her first mately duties and learning more about your route. As the ship continues to cut through the river, the sound like a waterfall will grow louder until you come upon a large cliffside directly in your path. But there is no waterfall off the cliff. Instead, there, carved large into the center of the cliffside, is a symbol that all of you will recognize. The Trailblazers Guild. It is like a large compass with the 4 points marked large inside a grand circle. The Trailblazers Guild is responsible for maintaining all of the trade routes and pathways through Mythia. It looks odd that there is a river flowing towards you, but no river coming down the river. As you all watch, going closer, you will see that there's 2 junctions, one empty and one full. The full one seems to be the river up top seems to course water to the side down a junction that falls down this large tube of rock and then lands at the lower junction like a small mini waterfall and then courses down to meet the river below. However, you have no idea how your ship gets up the cliff.
So what exactly would be required to traverse this? Just to clarify.
It says...
Are you asking it, or is...
Out of game, sorry. Just...
You said at the beginning that your character had never been to the center of the continent.
Correct.
So...
I hope Dom has.
Go ahead and give me a piracy check with a advantage.
Okay. Okay. 19.
You know that you need a horn.
June has been watching you guys. She's just sitting there. She's not paying attention at all to the path. She's watching you guys and has a slight smile on her face.
How do we do this? Hero says, kind of turning around and looking.
She'll raise up. I have a horn.
Good, we'll need that, Dom says. When we get up towards the junction, blow it.
She nods at him.
Alright. As Dom sort of swims back and forth through the river, cutting upwards, ever closer towards the empty and the full junction. When you are about maybe 20 yards from the 2 junctions, he goes, alright, go ahead and blow it.
She nods. Blows the horn.
As you unleash a fairly steady note from the small horn, kept mostly for fog out on the ocean, you will suddenly watch as the river, the stream flowing from the right, ceases going downriver. Instead, it flows across to the other junction and begins to flow backwards. Dom is going to steer the boat carefully into the slipstream and fly down what was an empty junction just 30 seconds ago, but now is a reversed course river. the sides of which are quite narrow. Almost, like just, the Outrunner is just the size to do this.
Is it
if the ship
bumpy?
was any larger, then it would be not good.
Is it a bumpy ride?
No, it is not particularly. It is a ride with a bit of momentum on it, as the ship has to turn quite quickly down this sort of winding, snaking little river. There is a stone tube on either side of the cliff that courses up and down. And Dom is going to direct your ship to the left, directly underneath this giant tube of almost concrete. It's actually carved out of the cliffside. Where there is just like this static whirlpool that is underneath it. What are your all's reactions?
Would I have ever experienced a lock before?
You almost never go through the center of the continent. There is no major city in the center of the continent that you would protect or have an allegiance with. You would always come from the sides.
Roland's probably just marveling at this ingenuity, I guess.
Hero is like, he's like pointing at everything, and you see his mouth kind of like he's calculating something.
How many locks would she have been through? I assume there's some she would
Well, there
have
are
been through.
locks, but there's not locks like this.
She'd look a little off-kilter, and probably be staring at the whirlpool a little bit alarmed.
The whirlpool isn't dragging down into like a point. Instead, it's just sort of the water is just swirling in one spot.
I think I'd want to roll Arcana because he'd be trying to puzzle out how this all works.
Okay. Yeah.
And whether or not this was something that was man-made or something naturally occurring. Roll no less.
Definitely not natural. The symbol on the cliffside began to glow when the horn was blown. So you are fairly positive that this was intentional.
Okay.
What did you look like?
June is smiling slightly as she watches all of you either be in awe or try to puzzle it out. But as we pull into the waterfall, she does turn, look up at the cliff, and then she goes at the symbol.
As the ship reaches the whirlpool, the water swirling is going to stop the ship and begin to just slowly turn it without any momentum in any direction, holding it in spot. And then Dom's going to go, all right, here we go. Suddenly, a surge of water from the river is going to push the whirlpool up the tube. Literally raising your ship probably 100 yards off the ground. You are in a tube of stone most of the way up, being held in the center, so that the edges of your ship are maybe 20 feet on either side from the stone.
Okay, well, the salute goes off after we can actually see the cliffs again. Didn't really think about the logistics of it.
Once you see the opening at the top, Clebe is like around you. Jania is sort of like, she kind of just like sat down and just sort of like let her hands go limp as she watched. Bali keeps secretly smiling behind her bangs. And Triss is worrying over the front and back of the ship. When you see the light at the top, the whirlpool reaches and then flows just a little above where the opening is. So the water spills out onto the empty way and allows your ship to, the whirlpool sort of breaks with the water escaping and piles your ship out onto the upper river.
Euphemia will look a little bit wonderstruck by it. She'll look a little younger than she usually does. A little bit of that childish wonder for a moment before she remembers she's a captain and needs to look more stern.
June looks over and says, "It's quite breathtaking, yes?"
Oh, so Dom didn't exaggerate, she says. And then she starts to fix herself slightly, remembering.
Yes, it's a genius bit of magic, that.
That was a cracking good time, Master, Rongor says.
Rongor, did you know about this?
No.
I was this close to running beneath the deck as soon as we started. That was terrifying.
He says, terrifying, Master.
You didn't feel like we were going to fall off at any moment. A boat this big, it's not natural for it to be lifted into the air like this.
Well, I trusted if I did fall off, you would save me.
I would try.
He says, well, that's all right. When you flow back out at the top, Dom is as he steers the wheel and sort of raucously flies back to the upper river and courses off down into the Ignis' arm.
She'll call out, "This has been the best part of the journey for you, hasn't it?"
No, the hot cocoa, he says.
June gives a knowing nod.
Now that you are up in the Ignis' arm, yes, proper, you hear the wild sounds of the forest around you. Thick, heavy leaf fall fills the river with gunk. Varying cuts force the river onto smaller chains that couldn't even fit the outrunner. That all meet up in a grand finger that travels down into Cezanne through the middle. The trees themselves are everywhere between giant and sapling. And you see varying patches of wildlife. Here near the river, you will see a number of catfish sort of having pawed their way up onto the land and curl around as a cat does to lay its head on its own fin. And then a couple of fish flies, which are buzzing around near the trees with their scaly hides
Are
and
they
their
edible?
fishtail. They taste like garbage.
Okay.
I was picturing shrimp, but darn.
And other assorted oddities, as well as the normal nuisance of the forest. Big black squirrels. What looks to be a green elven cat in the woodlands.
June would approach Dom and ask him, "So how far up the river have you gone?"
I've never gone into the crystal forest, he says.
"I've been to the edge."
Been to the edge, where the other crown pork is, he says.
She knows.
You've been on it, haven't you?
I have, yes.
I can tell. Your reaction's disappointing, he says.
I actually wrote a paper on them at one point.
What was with the salute?
I beg pardon?
Well, they're not manned, so who are you saluting?
The Trailblazers Guild.
You're a fan.
Considered being a member for a while there.
People don't give enough respect. They forget that the work that they do allows us to live.
They're the ones that gave us all of the roads in Mythia.
It's like the messengers. People forget what would happen if they stopped. He goes, so these younglings don't understand. It's good to know that the youth of today is keeping up with things.
I try. She winks at him.
Is he referring to Herb? When he says
Yes.
the youth? Okay.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Of course he is. Polly is going to grab your hand later that day. I found it, she says as she drags you towards the secret area downstairs. She is going to take out, she kind of like unrolls, and you see it's a porn magazine. She is going to like open it up. It's her. It looks a lot like Jennifer. This woman is distinctly made up. But she is significantly more endowed than Jennifer is. She goes, she looks like one of the porn magazine girls.
Or she could just be one of the porn magazine girls, she says.
She goes, "You don't believe that bullshit about her not wearing makeup, do you?"
I'm afraid to say I actually do.
It's like magic or something.
It might be magic,
It's
but I don't think it's makeup.
whatever it is, bullshit. She says.
You know, you should bring that magazine to dinner. I'm sure she'd be interested to see her twin.
"I don't want the entire crew to mutiny due to bad luck," she says. She rolls it up and then just kind of like looks at you sideways and goes, "Forget bananas." And she walks away.
She'll shout after her, "I know you have a collection."
"I don't know what you're talking about."
Mm-hmm.
Now that you are in the forest, does anything change as to your alertness or your preparedness?
I don't think anything would change for you, Femia.
What about your crew?
In terms of the forest, are there dangers that are well known in the forest? Just to clarify. That might
both
impact
the
it.
stories of monsters and dragons have been heard about Ignis.
In that case, she would probably encourage her crew who are on watch to be more careful
What about
and
the rest of you?
for Tagger on her.
Yeah, he's so regimented, keeping his stuff.
What about your level of armor wearage? Are you...
He doesn't wear his chestplate unless he's going into battle.
Isaac?
He would have the winged troll with him at all times. And I think he'd mostly be examining the wildlife outside of the ship. It's probably all things he's never seen before.
What kind of things do they see on the shore?
So the catfish, catflies...
Anything strange?
He said cat elves.
I said elven cats.
Oh, yeah.
They're green with leopard spots. Black squirrels. Let me get my list out.
What do catfish taste like? They taste like catfish.
They taste like, they just look like shark.
Hopefully not fermented.
That taste will never just leave.
No,
your
it really
mouth.
won't. Never goes away.
I've been so curious to try it.
Don't.
Don't.
Dear God, don't. You'll die.
I thought she was going to be sick.
Fermented shark.
Sounds gross.
That still makes me gag when I think
Yay,
about
Iceland.
it. Liquor was great. The shark, not so much.
I didn't like the liquor either.
So the most dangerous thing you see on the way down is a single ant wolf. Territorial, powerful creatures that come in hives of thousands. They're slightly smaller than a wolf and slightly more deadly than one.
But it's on the shore.
In the water, it's really not big enough to house any big hybrid, which would really be the only thing capable of damaging the ship. As you make your way down the forest, you will be coming up upon your first major village in a few days. And while I'm talking about time passage, I would like to go ahead and introduce our first custom rule of Mythia, and it will be an important one. Chaos. So, as time passes, every 5 days particularly, you will gain a point of chaos, up to a maximum of infinity, minimum of 0. For every chaos you have, you increase the odds of danger and bad stuff happening. Whenever you enter a new big situation, I will check your number of chaos, in many cases versus a chart where I have different scenarios laid up. From 0 chaos being it's going great, you're winning already, and you only have to do a little bit to succeed, to 20 or above chaos, where the bad guys are on the verge of victory, there's no hope, you're about to die, and it's storming on you. Yes.
Is it possible to reduce chaos?
You can reduce chaos in many ways. The first one is by winning significant battles. The second way is by completing side quests. and you don't necessarily have to complete them if you have allies that are capable of completing them for you, which I'll introduce later on, hero and quest system.
And it does just increase over time.
The chaos not only increases over time, but the more chaos you have, the more you make. So once you reach 5 chaos, you start generating chaos every 4 days. Once you reach 10 chaos, you start generating it every 3 days. At 20, you generate 1 a day. Additionally, when you, in Mythia, this campaign, you guys do not gain long rest just when you sleep. You only gain a long rest when you tell me you take a long rest. And when you do, you have a 50% chance of gaining a chaos. I will roll. So you guys will only gain long rests when you choose, and when you do, you have the option to gain chaos.
Does that rule apply to me?
Yes, it does.
So
With the anti-life engine?
Yes, you do. It does. But you gave out very good dice.
So the only way to get back your spell slots is to take
Correct.
them all now.
But obviously, you only have a 50% chance of not getting any chaos as well. So you can get a freebie. But completing large sections of the plot will reduce chaos by between 2 to 4 or 5. 5 would be big. And then side quests have a chaos reduction reward usually. So, also, extra bad losses cost you more chaos. So if you guys lose and are pushed off onto some side route, I can give you chaos for that because you have failed to stop chaos. So that's how that works. And also, if we get to a situation where I was like, well, maybe fate has fucked this up, I will roll your chaos. So I will roll, and if I get below your chaos on D20, so if I roll low, and you have 5 chaos and I roll a 4, you have failed that roll. And something extra chaotic will be happening. Fate will have screwed up that situation royally, and there will be extra baddies or something, or extra consequences. That's how it works. It's going to be great. I love it. So you've gained 1 chaos so far for your 5 days of journey.
So we have to specify, after a battle, we have to specify that we're taking a long rest to be able to restore anything that needs to be restored during
You
the
can
long
still
rest.
take a short rest with no consequences, and short rests are only 10-minute breathers in this campaign, so they're much easier to take. So your hit dice are much more important, your strategy of conserving resources is much more important, which, fortunately for Euphemia, she doesn't have a lot of resources to consume, so she's very good at that.
But Pearl's Lament needs to be restored after a long rest, so...
Yes, that's true, your fate points.
Okay.
Yeah, the only two who are really getting screwed over in this
You
is
guys.
me and the cleric.
Yeah.
And to a small degree, the paladin. Very small degree.
I wouldn't say very small.
Do you not
He
have to
changes
take long rests?
His hit dice, or his spells into straight damage.
Well, yes. Just say he also has way less spells than us.
He's also going to be taking a lot more shots than all of you.
Good. I don't want to take the shots. Have at it. All you. Eat those shots.
So that's how chaos works.
This wizard doesn't like it.
Understandable. Basically, the worse their chaos is, the better things get.
It's okay, we'll get hit instead.
Good.
All right. So you guys have a chaos, and you are well on your way to a second chaos pretty soon here, in a day or so. As you are nearing that crucial 10th day, you are going to hear from Dom that you are approaching your first village, almost a city in Ignis's arm called Oak Edge. He tells you that Oak Edge is capable of maintaining a medium-sized dock for a ship roughly the size of the Outrunner, and that it's kind of a backwater as far as cities go. It's got a decently large population, though, so if you wanted to get anything while you were there, but you think you're pretty stocked as far as it goes. as you approach, there is a bend of thick trees between you and what should be the opening dock area of Oak Edge, according to Dom. All right, noble viewers, we're going to go ahead and end the session there for the time being, and we hope to see you very soon next time that we bring on another episode. Go ahead and hit us with a like and subscribe if you like what you've seen here, and we will see you very soon.